Namaskar, dear seekers, and then good evening to all of you. So tonight topic, our live stream question answer. So tonight topic will be about sign of demonic possessions and what are the solution. So probably you are joining us from Facebook and YouTube. So how we will go for these live stream sessions for around 20 to 30 minutes. I will be sharing some point about this topic, and then the remaining 30 minutes you can share your questions, or if you had experienced also, or if you have obstacles, you can share your questions and we'll answer it, we can say live. So first I would in short would like to introduce myself. My name is Cyriaque. I come from France and I'm doing spiritual practice for past 20 years, where I went to India, and I live in India for 10 years in an ashram where I concentrate in spiritual practice. And now for the past 1 year I'm traveling around Europe. We actually with a caravan, so we are going city per city, meeting seekers, doing spiritual practice. Now as we are speaking tonight, we are in Mannheim, in Germany, and tonight we are traveling to go to Austria, in Unken. So about SSRF is the acronym of Spiritual Science Research Foundation, and it was founded in 2006 with the blessing of His Holiness Dr. Vallee, that is a saint from India. And SSRF has two main objectives. One is to explain about the spiritual dimension and how it can affect our lives positively or negatively. And we have more than 700 articles and research on different topics about spiritual practice, about spiritual phenomena. Also, we conduct spiritual research using biofeedback device to actually show how sometimes the aura of a person can increase or reduce depending on the stimulus we use. So whether it is good for us or whether it is not good for us. So like that we can make better choice, because it helps us to preserve our positivity and protect us from negativity. And there is also the University of Spirituality, known as the Maharishi Adhyatma Vishwavidyalaya, that is also founded by His Holiness Dr. Vallee. And the objective is to reinstall or re-establish, as it used to be in ancient India, all the different kala, that means different type of art, how we can grow spiritually. So there is one principle, there is as many paths to God as there are people on earth, and we can practice spirituality and grow to God through different type of arts, through dance, through music, through sculpture, through architecture, so different type form of art, poetry. This is what actually the University of Spirituality also does a lot of research to explain about the spiritual dimension. So what we will do before we start our live stream sessions, what we will do for 2 minutes, we will just close our eyes, do some meditation or chanting, repeating God's name, or if you are repeating mantra, we will do just for 2 minutes for the mind to become calm, and then we will start. So you can close your eyes, either you can meditate, either you can repeat in mind the chant you are doing, or otherwise you can focus on breathing, and in low tone we will play a divine chant. So you can just focus for 2 minutes and then we will start the live stream.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय 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 ॐ
Okay, dear Sika, you can open your eyes. So if you are just joining us for these live stream sessions, tonight's topic is about demonic possession and what are the signs also of demonic possession and what are the solution. So now I will share some different points for 20 to 30 minutes, and the remaining 30-40 minutes you can ask your questions or your experience or obstacles. So just when we talk about demonic possessions, usually we may think of a scary movie, but actually these have done a disservice, we can say, to humanity, because it has portrayed in such a way that we get a wrong understanding of what possession means or what actually possession is. Actually, all major religions believe in demonic possessions. And in this live stream tonight, we will share with you our findings about demonic possessions from spiritual research and what actually are the signs of demonic possessions, how to recognize it, whether from self or others, and what can be done to become free from it. So there are two ways how negative energy can affect us or harm us. Either one is affected from outside, that means negative energy from outside can affect the person, or the other way is by possessing, that means the negative energy is inside the person. And demonic possession, what it means is when the ghost who controls to some extent or fully the mind, that means the emotions or thoughts of the person, or the intellect, that means the decision-making ability. And as a result, the person the ghost or negative energy controls the person's actions, or sometimes also, or very often, means make the person act as per the ghost or negative energy wishes. So sometimes the person can act fully, we can say can act fully or partially, as per the thought given by the ghost affecting the person. So sometimes the negative energy, as we say, may reside inside and controls the person also from outside or from inside, but actually sometimes it doesn't make any difference depending on the intensity of the possessions, because in a way, whether it is inside or outside, the person actually sometimes acts as per the wishes or the thought of the negative energy or ghost. And in most cases, the person is not aware that the person is possessed or affected by negative energy until the negative energy, we can say, the person starts manifesting in a more dramatic way or visible way. And we have done SSRF in conjunction also with the University of Spirituality. We have done more than 38 years of research on this subject. We also have many articles on the subject of negative energy possessions, and we have come across various different type of demonic possessions. And the research, more than it was done through sometimes video footage, by also observing different type of manifestations, different way of behaviors in manifestations through video as well as sixth sense, and under the supervision or the guidance of His Holiness Dr. Atavali, that is a source of inspiration of SSRF and the founder of the University of Spirituality. And why it is important that a saint of higher order look after the research, because to understand in the spiritual dimension really what happened, who does what, and what really happened, only a sense of higher order that is above 90% spiritual level can understand fully what happened in the spectrum of the spiritual dimension. So demonic possession can be also categorized in three ways. So what we say mild demonic possessions. So what it means is that the negative entity or ghost possessing or affecting the person can control up to 25% of the person's thoughts, intellect. And most of the time it is a more, we can say, common ghost, ancestral, low level of negative energy. And the level of intention behind is just to harm that person who is possessing, who is possessed. So that the only intention is to affect them. When it comes to medium demonic possessions, at that time the negative energy or ghost is able to control almost maximum 50% of the person's thoughts, emotions, or behaviors. And here in negative energies there is a hierarchy of different level of negative energy, and here it is more like a medium level of ghost. It can be called also female goblin, Adal, or Jacking, and they have much more powerful than common ghosts. They can be 10 to 100 times more powerful than a lower or common ghost. And when it comes to, we can say, severe demonic possessions, at that time the negative energy or ghosts can control up to 75% of the person's mind and intellect. So almost most of the time the negative energy, actually behavior, is more of the ghost or entity instead of the person. And here the level of the negative energy is of the much higher level. It is what we call also mantrix or subtle sorcerer. And the level of intention here is mainly to affect society at large. And here the strength is far superior than even a medium ghost. And it can be at a very high, more at the level of power, but just to remember that God is always more powerful than even any mantrix or highest negative energy. God is always higher. So just if you have any question, don't hesitate to ask questions. If you have questions about what I've shared about it so far, or if you have different experience also related to what I shared, you can start typing and we will answer your question after. So also, what are the signs of demonic possessions? So sometimes when symptoms that the person faces are not explained, even doctors are not able to explain, or the problem doesn't go away despite, we can say, conventional treatment, or it goes away with spiritual healing remedy, or problem also happen just suddenly or go away suddenly. That also can be done due to negative energy. But just to give here more precise symptoms that can be on a physical level, is suddenly a person, maybe you know some person or you came across or you may have heard that sometimes some people suddenly from day to another their eating behavior change. That is, suddenly they were eating normally for years and suddenly they start eating like a lot, severe increase of hunger. Or even some people is like vegetarian, suddenly they want to eat meat only and they're just craving for it. Also the person suddenly doesn't eat anymore. So suddenly a change in the pattern of eating habit, but not like a small change. It's a we can say severe change. Sometimes the person may have also uncontrollable body movements. That means some arm is moving, some head, body is shaking also. That also can happen, or countered body movement, and the person is not able to control their movement. And there is also another that is may not be visible to the person, but may be visible by others. The look, the eyes of the person more like glazed or glassy, we can say. That also can be an indication. That means there is no life, or the eyes look like glassy. So when it comes also, we can say, to mental symptoms, similarly, like sometimes some person has one where somebody is open, social, and suddenly from one day to another, the person behavior become completely different. Then they close themselves, they don't want to see anybody, except of course, if here the person had faced some traumatic event, some situation has happened. But here if nothing happened, and suddenly there is a change of behavior, or it can be other way around, the person usually is shy, doesn't talk, and suddenly the person become completely change behavior, like overnight. So that also is pretty abnormal, but it happened. In some cases, some people without any reason, like it is severe crying, anxiety, depression, but not like we can say basic crying or basic anxiety, but we can say extreme, suddenly, without any control, or person is getting a lot of suicidal thoughts. There is also another mental symptom is person gets a lot of doubts about spiritual practice, about God existence, especially about also spiritual practice, seeker of God. So that, but it is, we can say not few, because see, normally we can get few thoughts, no, but it becomes like repeatedly, and it is very strong, sometimes out of nowhere. See, when it comes to personality defects such as anger, jealousy, so this is more at, we can say, psychological level. But when it comes in case to demonic possession, what can happen? The person can experience extreme anger, extreme jealousy. So here the negative energy, it will multiplied or magnified the personality defect of the person, and here the person goes, we can say, it sometimes is type of mental disorders. And there are actually there is many different type of mental disorders, but we have come across different case of seekers who actually been suffering from OCD. And OCD is what? Double personality or schizophrenia. So actually, of course, it is recognized as a psychological factor, psychal illnesses, mental illnesses, but to understand also that most of severe mental illnesses have their root cause in the spiritual dimension, and often OCD or schizophrenia is like double personality. It is personality of the person and personality of the possession ghost or negative energy affecting the person. And also we can have, the person can have, sometimes this is another symptom, uncontrollable sexual thoughts or desires. That means the person, even though it can affect their life, still they are not able to stop because negative energy want to fulfill their wish and desires. Some people also may experience sleepwalking, sleep terror. That also can be, we had a lecture about dream, where we explain about how also dreams has some psychological after, even nightmares or sleep terror. There are 30% of psychology, but 60% is more from the spiritual dimension. That means negative energy either attacking the person or the person who is affected by negative energy. Also addictions, more than 70% to 80% of addictions also have their root cause in the spiritual dimension, especially when the person try to overcome but are not able to overcome their addictions. That also can indicate a sign of either being affected or a sign of being affected by negative energy inside. Some people also hear voices, and they hear some voices of negative, of another voices telling them what to do. And sometimes they hear voices that tell them things to do, things that are wrong. And the person sometimes feels very bad or feel ashamed because they hear some voice in their mind telling to do things bad or wrong, and they don't want to do it. But some are able to control it, but they feel after bad to why they are getting such a thought. It's just to understand that negative energy can affect our mind. They can enter our mind through thoughts. So either the negative energy can affect from outside, or here in case of possessions, from inside it is easier to affect the person. Or sometimes a person also, that can be another sign that the person is not able to chant at all. Even though they may have desire to chant, they are unable to chant or to do any type of spiritual practice despite having some inner desire to do. Sometimes also, if you have other question, please continue to type and write in the chat. So sometimes also a person who is possessed may experience different distresses that we have mentioned when also they are exposed to some spirituality positive things. So it can be either they want to do spiritual practice, so they try to join to meet different seekers, to join satsang where seekers are together, or they start, or when they want to meet a saint or in the presence of a saint, or it can be also in a temple or a place of worship, or to some positive stimulus. So we can see how there can be a variety of possession that is not always dramatic and visible to gross eyes, but it can be sometimes some more dormant. As we can see, it is classified also as mild, medium and severe. So sometimes when the possession is severe, it is easier to understand and it is easier to realize that something is wrong. But when it comes to mild and medium, then it goes undetected, because it is, how to say, persons suffer from different problems through life, but take it as it is a common part of life. But just to understand that despite trying different remedy, and just it is nothing wrong that either the person is affected by negative energy doesn't make the person worse, because actually every person has the same God principle inside. So there we have seeker also of SSRF, many seeker who also come to us because this is something we explain a lot about how spiritual dimension affect our lives, how negative energy do affect people, and in today's time 80% of the world population is affected. 50% is affected to a small extent, and 30% of the world population is possessed. That means they have negative energy inside. And we have many seekers who come to us because they face different problems where medical science cannot help them. So, and they are able to find answers and solutions for their problem. And what I want to say is actually they are good seekers, because sometimes by experiencing possession, the person is able to experience something of the subtle world, and actually at that time turns to God also. So I think being affected or possessed by negative energy doesn't make a person better than others. Just wanted to say some about this aspect of, it's like a person suffering from a flu. We don't differentiate. So it is something like that, whether a person is affected or not affected, it is the same. But what it is important not to see what we have discussed, but what is the solution to overcome the problem for the ghost, in a way, to overcome the problem called by the ghost. And the best remedy is to do regular spiritual practice according to the universal principle. Why? Because it is just very simple. Person, when they do proper spiritual practice, at that moment positivity within self increase. So at that time the negative energy at one point will not be able to tolerate the positivity generated by the spiritual practice. So at that time the negative energy will have to leave. They will have to leave the seeker. So what are the simple spiritual practice to start with? So one is chanting name of God. So it is repeating a name of God. It can be repeated as per your religion of birth, or otherwise you can repeat a universal chant, that is Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And why we recommend these chants today? Because Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya has the potency and capacity today to fight the current negative energy that is present today. Until 2023, that most of you may be experiencing for the past 1-2 years, how negative vibrations in the atmosphere and everywhere has increased. So that's why Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya have that capacity today to fight negative energy. So we recommend, if you can repeat Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya 1 to 2 hours per day, and that you can download on the website. We will paste the link also on the chat. So you can just download the link and you can play it in low tone. You can listen to it, or you can repeat in mind also. And there is another chant also that we recommend. It is Shri Gurudev Datta. Shri Gurudev Datta is also a divine chant, or we can say a mantra that helps to protect self from ancestor problem. And today many people are affected from ancestor problem. Why? Because in today's time not many people are interested in spiritual practice or spirituality. So our ancestor doesn't have the spiritual capacity to go to higher plane of existence, and then they get stuck, and then they come to us either to ask for help or sometimes to fulfill craving and desires. So sometimes they can also affect or possess the person. That's why Shri Gurudev Datta helps to protect oneself from ancestor problem. And actually from 2nd September, this Pritu Paksha, that means will start. That is the time when ancestor will come closer to us. So it is a very auspicious period to actually help ancestors. So if we repeat more during these 2 weeks, that is, it starts from 2nd to 17, this 2 weeks period, Om Namo of Shri Gurudev Datta, or even we can say Om Shri Gurudev Datta Om. You can see after what is your capacity, but you can start Shri Gurudev Datta. For those who are more familiar, you can also do Om Shri Gurudev Datta Om, because it has much more potency. But if you find difficulty, at the time you can go back and just do Shri Gurudev Datta. There are also some other healing remedies that it's very helpful and that are simple to also start with. Is salt water remedy. That is also a link that we will paste in the chat, a video. It's a short explanatory video that explain how to perform, and it helps to remove the black covering that we collect in the atmosphere, or that actual also negative energy produce. So salt water reduce this covering around us, and that help us in our spiritual practice or overcoming the spiritual distress. There is also 2 other that you can do along with chanting, or when you do salt water. It is Nyas. Nyas is come from the science of mudra. It is from the Panchatattvas, the 5 cosmic elements. Every finger is associated with one element, that is water, earth, water, fire. wind and ether. So when you chant, the positivity coming out will come out from the fingers to some extent, and when you bring it back to the chakra, to the different chakra, it will bring back the positivity in the different chakra. So it will purify to some extent the different chakra. And another remedy also that is maybe less maybe known, it is box remedy, but it is a very potent remedy because it works at the level of Akash, ether principle. And you can read also on the website, we have an article explain about box remedy. Even though it may look so simple, but remember it is not the box, it is a void who have that ability to absorb or pull the black energy affecting our body. And many seekers, we have experienced actually some manifestation getting precipitated by the box, or the person also reducing the manifestations or reducing the intensity of the distress just by using boxes. So I invite you, of course, to read on the website those articles, and you can try and see by yourself what you experience. What also we advise is, if let's say some of you are watching today and are maybe experiencing different symptoms, or you feel maybe you may have demonic possession, or you know someone, we also recommend to seek medical help, such as medicine or treatment, because sometimes at that time it becomes difficult because negative energy or ghost possessing the person may bombard the person's mind with a lot of negative thoughts, and it's become sometimes very difficult for the person to remain stable. A lot of energy also is drained to fight those negative thoughts. So we suggest to also, as per your discretions, if you want to meet a psychiatrist, because it's sometimes what we saw when all problems are treated at the physical, psychological and spiritual level, it gives best result. We also, something important, we do not recommend, if you know someone who is affected by negative energy or having possession, do not do healing on them, because until and unless your spiritual level or spiritual capacity is high enough, if with good heart you want to help a person who is having manifesting or who is having distress, if you are not ready spiritually, it can affect you. That means the negative energy possessing the person can attack you. And we have experienced some seekers where at that time the person got affected and it takes time to recover, and sometimes the person may not be recovering. That's why we recommend, it is better, what you can do at best, you can tell them. You can tell them what are the remedies to chant. You can tell them to read website articles so that themselves understand. But best if themselves try to chant or try to do healing remedies such as salt water. Similarly, not to chant, whether you help or whether you chant for others or pray for others, it will not have much impact on them, or it will not help, because again it will depend on the negative energy power affecting the person. That means the possessions, because it can be, as we shared before, it can be higher level negative energies or even medium negative energies. They are actually more powerful than what we think. That's why to be more careful, and better to just advise them to do themselves the remedy, and for ourselves to do spiritual practice as to grow spiritually. Then only when we make real progress, then we are in capacity to help others. So just in short, in hand, just wanted to say that yes, demonic possession can be sometimes challenging. Maybe also sometime when you see it or person experience themselves or witness, it can be sometime we can be quite taken aback. But just to say that we know many seekers who have overcome it. We have overcome it fully, and we know some seekers also we have overcome to a great extent. That means they are able to control it to much more extent. Why? Because they understand why, and they know the solution, and for that now they are able to live a more normal life. They are able to live, we can say, happier life, and to make spiritual progress. And after, it's a matter of time and destiny that the negative energy has to leave the person. So just to understand that, yes, demonic possession does exist, but actually there is a solution, and it is very possible to overcome them if the person does proper spiritual practice. So dear seekers, that's it from my part today about sharing about the different point. But now I can take all your questions. So there is a question from End Time. I have something like an elastic band in front of my chest area. It moves to the shoulder, to the back side. It creates anxiety, depression and pain. And the medical report are fine. So End Time, if you mean that elastic band, you mean some vibration that comes and up and down. So what you can do, that's why you can try chanting. If you can try chanting and take a box and just actually where you experience now this movement at the level of the chest area and going to shoulder, you can place the box there, and you can look on the website what type of box to choose with the depth, and you can chant, because you see, when something cannot be explained, and especially medical report, I find sometimes negative, it shows that negative energy may be affecting us or affecting you. But I think it's a good thing that you are sharing freely, and just if you can try chanting and use the box in these two areas, or you can do the nyas also, whether it start at the heart chakra at this level, and it moves after. When it start moving to the shoulder, you can follow it and stay there for some time. Even don't worry if you experience increasing pain at that time, or you feel it is increasing, just to continue, because it is naturally that when the positivity generated by either the nyas or the box will fight the negative energy doing this to you. I will take another question. This is from Jeremiah Lofton. When I rub my head, I feel like a vibrating sensation wave, and my body feels shock and vibrate. I also get cold goosebumps, my face feels tight and everything. I smile, my mouth vibrate and my head twist. Can this be fixed? See, just to understand, and Jeremiah, you say when you rub my head, you feel vibrating sensations. To see, but more it's like when you feel your face feel tight or the mouth vibrate and the head twist. Just to see, I feel just try chanting. If you can try chanting, and same for you, you take a box and put it in front of your face. So that's why if there is black energy like that, the void facing the face. So like that you can do salt water, you can chant and try the box at the level of the face. But you need to do it for some time. There is another question from Vesna Franciscovich. Can we be safe 100% from negative energy by grace of God and spiritual practice? So Vesna, that is a good question. To be safe 100% from negative energy, it can happen, but it is rare in today's time that somebody is not affected at all by negative energy. It can be from two factors. Either the person is not having, due to destiny, not having any negative energy. But if the person try to do spiritual practice and grow spiritually or want to progress, negative energy can affect the person. But again, here God also protects the seekers. So we may experience, but God can protect us. So in a way we should not fear. Even negative energy may affect or attack. Just to understand that if we do proper spiritual practice, God will protect seekers. So we may experience, but we will be safe. Another question from Anda Florea: how we can get rid of our demons? So and it is about what I share. If you do one aspect, see why negative energy affect us. So sometimes it's some part of destiny for some. So at that time, if we do spiritual practice help to nullify destiny, and chanting God's name helps to increase the positivity within us and create a protective shield. So as I shared earlier, it's just a matter of time that when the positivity in you increase, at that time the negative energy start losing, we can say, hold on you. And another way also to get rid of our demons, because some call it like they use our defect within us. And it can be different type of defects. It can be envy, jealousy, anger, emotionalism, suspicions. So like that they can, desires, they can in a way use them, and we in a way at that time are under their control. So if we work on overcoming those defects, and this is called PDR, overcoming defect of personality, it is a process, then negative energy cannot hold on us, because they hold on us also through our destiny, and they hold on us through the defect within us. And we have seekers, and when they started working on this process of overcoming defect of personality, they experience that the different level types of manifestations started decreasing, because the negative energy cannot use the vice or the defect of the person anymore. It remains in control. So this is one way also overcoming defect of personality. But it is a little bit, it is good to start. It is also important to start with chanting and spiritual healing remedy. And if we are able to combine both, that means spiritual healing remedy, chanting, and overcoming defect of personality, in a way the cure will be more rapid. There is another question from Leah Lucas Fisher. My cousin is in the beginning of fighting paranoid schizophrenia. How can I help him spiritually? So Leah Luca, as I shared before, schizophrenia usually is a sign of being affected by negative energy. So you can, the best way you can do is to tell him to chant Sri Gurudev Datta or Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Whether he will accept or not, that is difficult to say, because depending on the level of the schizophrenia the person experience. You can always give them articles to read and the different healing remedy that we have mentioned in this lecture tonight. See what happened now, people don't know. People don't know, sometimes they suffer of different symptoms, but they don't know the solution. They only know the problem at the physical level, or they try to get the solution at the psychological level. So sometimes like that, if maybe the person is open and understand that there may be a spiritual dimension, and if they try, then they may experience some relief. So Leah Luca, we can always try to tell them the science. There is another from Sonal Kandambari. In possessed state, the person is not able to chant or help himself. It's how to save such a person. Sonal, it is the same question as that I mentioned before. At that time, we can just explain to the person. So if they are not able to chant, we can tell them to do salt water. We can tell them to do box treatment, nyas, if they are not able, or we can tell them to listen to the chant. There is another question from Arun Kumar. How to confirm 100% sure that there is a presence of negative entity? See, we have shared now, Arun Kumar, different things that can happen. So there are always a factor, psychological factor. So sometimes some factor plays a role, But sometimes a person who experience problem, it doesn't go away. Modern science cannot help. As we share now, the problem come and go, and the person doesn't get relief. The person especially get relief when they do healing remedy, and then we can almost be sure it can be caused by negative energy. Or when the person start manifesting, it become visible. At that time we can be sure 100%. See, whether we are sure 50%, 30%, we should try. What we are going to lose? Ultimately, if we are affected, person is affected 10%, 20%, they will suffer only in different area of life. And what is the remedy? They are all for free only. But whether we are willing to do it or not, we hope and we wish for a easy method. But there is, ultimately we should chant. Either we should chant or we do healing remedy. And when the positivity within us come, then if the negative energy is there, it goes away. If the negative energy is not there, then we will we will be protected, and we will experience some inner bliss. Hope it answers your question, no, Arun? There is another question from Taylor Johnson. Is it possible for demons to directly control one physical action, or they're only able to control by manipulating the mind and intellect? See, actually, Taylor Johnson, it is very simple. What control our actions, physical action? It is our thoughts, our intellect, our mind. So actually, what negative energy can do, no? Whether it is ghost or demon, they just give a thought, move harm, take this, do this, and the person will not be able to differentiate that it is not my thought, and they will just act on it. So what they do, they manipulate the mind and intellect of the person and make them act accordingly. I don't know if it's clear, Taylor Johnson. There's another question from Lina Karnik. I feel I am a victim of black magic. Do entities who live inside us, inside your body, vibrate? See, Lina, we had a lecture about black magic, and then what we say now in regards to black magic, there are different factors. It is not always black magic. It can be sometimes negative energy. It can be ancestors. And if at all you have been affected or you are a victim of black magic, yes, negative energy inside we can experience. Sometimes some people feel the body is vibrating. It is not their body, but the person also experience negative thought associated with it. Just Lena, if you can, we will pass for you on the chat the link of the last. It was actually a few weeks ago. We had this live stream session on black magic. So we can pass, you can view that video and try also the healing remedy. Some of the healing remedy are the same, so you can view them. But also same, Lena, even though you are a victim for black magic, there is, if by doing spiritual practice and if you perform spiritual healing remedy, you can overcome it and be free from black magic. There is another question from Gin Ichimaru. Can a possession be carried over from a past life? That is correct. Actually, what happened, negative energy can, the person can be born because of destiny with actually negative energy affecting the person. Or even what happened, it can continue in the afterlife and come back in next birth. So that's why it is important. If we do spiritual practice, then we can overcome in this birth itself. So unless we get liberated from the cycle and birth and death and merge to God and free from negative energy, or if we get free from negative energy, then next birth when we come, we are free. Then we are able to make fast progress. There is another question from Sonal Sarma. How can we differentiate real mental illness from possessions? See, just what we say, like real mental illness, that is True, there are some illnesses, mental illness, who are psychological, purely psychological. But sometimes in severe case of mental illnesses, majority of them are more from possessions. We can say schizophrenia. Most of the higher level schizophrenia are actually possessions. And sometimes when it is mild, so sometimes it can be a combination. Or sometimes what can happen, it can be, in the beginning can be psychological, mental illness due to psychology. But here what happened, the person at that time become an open gate because there is negative vibration. The mind is unstable. The mind, so it's become very easy for negative energy to enter. So sometimes it is negative energy. Sometimes it may start from psychological point of view, but often what can happen, it continue and then it gets from the spiritual dimension. Another question from Amit Navarenge. I am aware since childhood that I am doing some discreet bad deeds and I have bad thoughts. But I don't have a control to stop my bad deeds. Despite in mind I know I have to avoid it to stop, but I'm not able to stop. So Amit, you can see whether again there are two things. Either it is negative energy affecting us, ancestors, they want to fulfill wishes and desires, unfulfilled desires. Or sometimes also due to bad habit, defect within us. We keep on repeating some wrong actions and it becomes a bad habit. So same way, by working on overcoming defect of personality, there is a technique also that sometimes to refrain from doing something wrong. So we tell our mind to stop acting in a wrong way, and by that doing a better choice. This is called autosuggestion technique. It's like whenever I start feeling to do this and this, I will become aware. I will become aware, realize it will affect me. So I will remain calm, pray, and start chanting. So it is one type of autosuggestions. So if you join in our satsang are free of charge. It is one of the platforms that SSRF offers for seekers, depending on their path, irrespective of their path, to help a seeker to grow spiritually. So we help in this process of how to overcome defect of personality and help the seeker also how to frame autosuggestion techniques. So if you work on this by trying to work on bad habit, whether it is caused by defect, and if you do some healing remedy, it will take care of the spiritual dimension, and then you can overcome those bad habits. There's another question from Tony Johnson. I get the chill all the time. I experience sleep paralysis. What could be that? I also feel vibration near my feet that move through my body at times. So I think Tony, see sleep paralysis. Now we also had a lecture on dreams, dream nightmares and sleep disorders. We can also paste on the chat, so you can also view that live stream session we had. It was a few months ago. And in regards to sleep paralysis, it can happen that at that time negative energy can affect the person. So it is sometimes from outside or from inside, and it is sometimes attack from negative energy. And those things moving, similarly, when you experience at the level of your toes those vibration, if you can try salt water remedy, whether it will help, and try chanting also. What you can do for sleep paralysis, when you sleep, whether it is during daytime or at night, you can let an audio in low tone of Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya or Shri Guru Dev Datta. You can play it in low tone in your room during the night because it gives protections. The sound or those divine chant have the ability to protect from the negative vibration, because at night negative vibration is higher. You can download for free the chants. We will also paste in the chat the two chants. All of you can download them. I will also take a question now from Durga Kulkarni. sometimes there are thoughts which seems to be positive, but that is not so. Then how to find out? See, usually it is not clear to me your question, Durga, because sometimes thoughts to be positive, but just to understand, sometimes see we may get some thought where actually may looks positive, but in reality in the end it changes and it becomes negative. What can happen also, sometimes negative energy can disguise themselves as positive and can also take something that may look positive but in the end turn out to be negative. So it is one way also that also can happen. So see, it is sometimes difficult to understand, Durga, until and unless we have good spiritual level or sixth sense ability, we may not be able to differentiate or to understand, especially when negative energy disguised in positive. At that time, if we do regular spiritual practice and grow spiritually, automatically we will get protection from God, and at the same time we will be able to understand because God will help us. There is another question from, sorry, just one second, from Tammy Miller. I have a family member that I'm trying to help that has been affected by demonic forces and spirit attachment for many years. Sorry, I apologize, something is moving, so I'm not able to read. It affects her on the physical level, causing bodily harm, and I practice Reiki. This that I shared, Tammy Miller, it is better to avoid trying to heal a person who is affected by negative energy. And when it comes to Reiki, we also in SSRF promote self-healing remedy. Why? Because when a person do healing on others, whether it is really pranic healing, there is a danger to be affected by negative energy. Even you may have good intention to help someone, or you practice Reiki to help others. Just to understand, say, until and unless your spiritual level is high, or you are doing full-time spiritual practice under the guidance of a saint, then it is possible to help others. But if you are not doing so, and you are just doing it, and you are not doing intense spiritual practice under the guidance of a saint, there is a chance that one day negative energy can get hold on you, and it becomes difficult after to overcome them. We have seen in SSRF or in the University of Spirituality, people coming from different parts of the world, because we had a workshop. Now it is stopped due to Corona, but we had a 5-day workshop every single month. People coming from all over the world, and we have seen many people who used to do Reiki or different type of healing, and they got affected. So we recommend that if you can, if possible, to try to focus on your spiritual practice, and you can always advise the person that you know are affected. You can tell them what are the simple self-healing remedies they can do. There is another question from Dr. Sunita Amrutesh. During last 2 months, both 3 to 4 times while sleeping felt electric shock of band around head at forehead level. Is it positive or negative? Dr. Sunita, it's a bit quite interesting experience that you had. Usually, to have such an experience at night, during the night, the chance to be negative to be more, but we never know if it is positive, but it can be actually more negative. What you can do, it is something interesting that I have not come across. We can ask in India to understand. Don't hear me, no? Let me see. I will try to fix the mic. Maybe I'm getting closer only. Is it better now? नमस्कार Jessica, can you hear me better? Whether it is working or not? Just 1 second, Jessica, we are just Namaskar everyone. I don't know if you can hear me now. It is audible? Okay, good. We are able to continue. So just to go back to Dr. Sunita Amrutesh, I will ask this question because it's actually we can't say, but it looks to be it can be negative energy. So what we suggest, Dr. Sunita, you can keep box around you, and you can put a box if possible, depending on the sleeping position, if you can, around you and around your little bit behind your head. And if you can play also in low tone the chant of Shri Guru Dev Datta or Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. But just wanted to ask also, Dr. Sunita, when you woke up, every time you felt this electric shock, when you woke up, how you felt? Whether you felt good the next day or you were feeling drained the same day or next day? If you can share also, it will give us some more understanding. There is another question from Aziza Diamond. Can some demon be too stubborn to be removed? Actually, Aziza, no, negative energy possessing a person usually doesn't want to go away. Either because they want to trouble the person or they want to fulfill some wishes and desire. So they don't want to go. So definitely, yes, they are stubborn only. But just to remember again, negative energy is more powerful. If we do spiritual practice, they will have to go. It's like when the sun shines, when the sun rises, the darkness has to go away. There is another question from Valentina Shari. Can evil ghosts affect us in our dream when we are sleeping? That is also a correct question, Valentina. We had that lecture on dream. I think we have pasted on the chat that yes, negative energy also can give us nightmares. So actually, why they want to do is because they want to destabilize our mind. So the next day we are destabilized. So yes, negative energy can give us nightmares. Nightmare is not only from negative energy, it is also apart from our mind also. But repeated nightmares are usually a sign of being affected by negative. It can be from outside or inside. And just to understand also at night, this is a state where we are the most vulnerable, and this is where at night negative energy has more strength. So to protect ourselves, if you can put your bed in east-west position and sleep in east-west positions, we have article on the website what is a proper position to sleep. That is important, because if we sleep north-south, actually a lot of energy is needed, because this is a flow of negative. So it is more, we are more easily affected by negative energy. So if you can change your sleeping pattern, unless you are already sleeping, but for those also who are listening, the best sleeping position is east-west, and our feet toward east. And at the same time, to keep the chant in low tone. Why? Because when we sleep, we don't have defense. But if we play the chant in low tone, it will protect us. There is another question from Ba Singha. I see snakes a lot, and I have been trying to do Datta chant for 3 years, but I still feel a lot of distress and feel short of and stuck. So Ba Singh, you see snake, actually snake is a sign of ancestors. just to see how many hours of data chant you are doing, because if you are doing 2-3 hours of data chant per day with concentration, then it will be helpful. But if you are just doing few minutes of chanting data per day, or just half an hour with less concentration, then it will take long time. That's why there are some seekers, if it depends, usually ancestor problem. If the person does proper chanting or do club it with also good spiritual practice, we can overcome more rapidly problem caused by ancestors. But for that, the person also has to complement with spiritual practice. So if you can try to chant around 3 hours of Shri Gurudev Datta with concentrations, and if you try to do some spiritual practice, then you may become free sooner from the problem caused by ancestors. Last question I will take from Amit. Is it very difficult to get free of negative energy? Yes, it can be, but it is possible. See, if we don't do anything, yes, it is very difficult, or we can say impossible. But if we do spiritual practice, it is very possible to be free from negative energy. Ultimately, see, God is more powerful than any negative energy on earth. Why? Because God is the owner, is creator of everything. So if somebody does spiritual practice and grows spiritually, the negative energy has to leave. So yes, it may be difficult, but it is very possible to be free from negative energy or be free from demonic possessions. And we have many seekers. We have also different case study on our website, and I invite you to read the different case study and to see how many seekers have overcome different problems. So dear seeker, I will end for today. It is nice that we had many questions. I also invite you to go through our old live stream. For some of you who are joining for the first time, and you may not know that we had different topics such on black magic. We had also some live stream on dreams, nightmares, sleep disorders. We had also live stream on different topics. We are very interested, very interesting, how to overcome depressions. So dear seeker, we have different events. So we have on Saturday, next also Tuesday and Thursday, also tomorrow, Thursday, we have collective chanting and meditation sessions where we join collectively, and that's really we chant this divine chant. And there are many seekers coming and experiencing healing remedy, or they feel much lighter. So you can join. It is on live chat, on Facebook and YouTube live. We have next week, our next topic will be family problem and ancestor fortnight, because as I shared before, the Pritupaksha, we can say when ancestor come closer to us, will start on 2nd September, and we will have this topic. And on 6th September also we will restart our workshop. It is the first course. It is how to make positive change in self, and there is some spiritual research on animals, how animal responds to the positive or negative vibrations. That is through donation. You can register and you can donate whatever you like and can. That is on Zoom. All the other events are free on charge. Only the workshop, if of 3 hours 3 hours duration, and you can give whatever is possible for you. So dear seeker, I encourage you to continue your spiritual practice, and just those who are experiencing different type of negative energy or possessions, just to keep faith and just to be determined that I want to overcome negative energy, I want to experience God's presence, or I want to live a happier life, and that is possible. So dear seeker, wishing you all the best. Namaskar to all of you.